Okay, so I'm now just going to take you guys through the way we can set these up with Ableton Live or with any other DAW using their MIDI ins. So first off, I'm just going to sync up the bass, and then we're going to have a look at how we can sync up the other units as well. Okay, so I'm now just going to show you how we can connect up the Volcas to our DAW. So I'm just going to use the Volca bass first to demonstrate this, and what we can do firstly is select a MIDI channel. So each of these devices can have 16 different MIDI channels. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to hold down the memory mode button here, and then we're going to turn it on, and you can see this opens up a menu where we can select anywhere from the 16 MIDI channels available to us. So if we're going to use all three Volcas at the same time, it's going to be best to put them all on a different MIDI channel. So let's just use MIDI channel 1 for the Volca bass now. All I do now is press play and it will load up. Now I'm just going to take my MIDI cable, plug that in on the top here. That's plugged into my sound card. I'm just going to take this audio cable, which is going into 5 and 6 on my sound card, into the top here, and we're now ready to write some patterns in Ableton and run them through this unit. Now, just one other thing worth noting is it's going to be worth, especially with the bass and the keys, to just clear all so that there's nothing written on the step sequencer here, because we're going to use Ableton to input the MIDI notes now. So now let's have a look at Ableton and how we can set it up in there. Guys, so I'm just going to show you now what we set up in Ableton in order to hear and play these KORGs in with our sequence in Ableton. So I've just got a drum machine here set up in Ableton just so that we have something playing from Ableton. And what I'm going to do, we're going to sync the bass first, so I'm just going to create a MIDI channel. I'm going to go into instruments and select external instrument, drop that on there. Now, as I showed you before, I've selected MIDI channel 1 on the Volca bass, so I just go into my sound card, select that there, select my MIDI out, channel 1, and that's now sending MIDI to my Volca bass. I can then select the audio input, select 5 and 6, which is where I've got the Volca bass's audio out plugged into on my sound card. I can then adjust hardware latency, so the time it takes for the MIDI information to get to the unit and then come back. I know from my setup at home that I'm working with about 7 milliseconds of latency here. So now what we can do is just start inputting some notes straight into our Volca bass from our MIDI sequencer. So you can see it's quite quick and easy for us to set this up so that it's running our MIDI from Ableton out, and that allows us to put all of Ableton's effects on it. We could even, you know, send some reverb to it now. So that's how you set up the bass, and the keys will be the same setup as that. I'm just going to show you a slightly different way that we can go and set up the beats now. So if I delete that channel, I'm going to unplug my KORG Volca bass. I'm going to plug in the beats. So I'm going to take my MIDI cable, put that into the beats. Now, with the beats, it's a slightly different setup, and we can run it the same way with the external instruments. So we could effectively use our keyboard to play the kick or the snare, and we could also groove that, which might help add some sort of movement to our patterns. And obviously, we could create longer patterns, which as well could be handy. But there's also another way we can do this, and that's just sequencing our drums on the actual KORG. So what I'm going to do quickly, I'm just going to remove all of these hits here. I'm going to create another audio channel. I'm going to select my ins and outs on Ableton, select external in, 5 and 6, monitor on, and now you'll hear I'm just playing the Volca beats. Now if I press start, you can now hear the Volca beats is coming in, and this allows us to step sequence it but have it synced with Ableton. So I'm just going to go in now and I'm going to sync up the Volca beats with this kick drum. So now when we hit play, we can hear our Volca beats coming through as well. Now what I've done is I've muted up the kick drum on the Volca beats, and I'm using the kick drum in Ableton now, so you can hear that there. And because of the MIDI sync, we can even use step mode jump keep playing in with the time of our Ableton sequence. So this makes it quite a powerful addition to any studio, and a very easy thing to set up.